What I'm trying to say is that it all depends on your own unique situation, and it requires really using your own instinct and intuition to feel out who you can talk to about cancer and who you may want to avoid. Unfortunately, there are people out there who aren't very helpful about dealing with cancer. I mean, as we all know, we didn't know what cancer was about until we had it either. And it can be frustrating when people can't listen and don't want to, or are scared themselves. And you'll be able to know, just based, again, on your own intuition, who you feel you can talk to a little bit more about what you're going through, because we do need to talk about this. We can't hide this, and nor would we want to. But it takes a little feeling out who the right people to approach are and who the people are that you want to avoid. There are some people that you can't talk to cancer about at all at work, and that can be challenging. There are some managers who have their own stresses about productivity, depending on the industry you're in, and who, while they might want to be empathetic to you about your situation, all they're thinking about in the back of their mind is, how am I going to meet my monthly numbers? So it's, again, important to get the mental support that you need from other resources and protect yourself in the workforce to make sure that you can keep the environment to be as affable to what you're going through as possible. And that may involve looking elsewhere to talk to people. For my own experience, I did have a couple of people who were understanding, but for the most part, the people in my direct division were not able to talk or really hear anything about cancer. They certainly weren't able to ask me about it, and if I wasn't asked, I wasn't talking. And that, again, was me. People are different. So it's, again, a matter of feeling out what works for you. One thing I don't recommend is choosing a work colleague or a manager to be a primary support provider during or after treatment, unless they're your best friend from the beginning of time. As I said, they can't always be as unjudgmental enough and may have other issues in their mind that they're trying to balance out with what you're going through, and it just may contribute more to your frustration than helping to alleviate it. Again, talking to other survivors, professionals, counselors, social workers to ensure that you can voice these frustrations and still be able to work is really important. The fourth issue that I hear about is the logistics. And by logistics, I mean insurance, short and long-term disability, financial assistance, reducing your hours, being able to get to treatment while in the middle of the workday, that sort of thing. I don't deal with that as much here, as there are people who are far more qualified to respond to specific insurance and disability scenarios. But it all factors into the overall stress of the situation and shouldn't be discounted accordingly. This is the time where we often discover that human resources is less about the human and more about the human as a resource. It can be very difficult to deal with that at this time in particular, when you're also dealing with cancer and everything that brings with it, treatment and everything else. So the important thing here is to try and use the resources that are available through your medical community. There are a lot of resources that are there, and it's not about conquering everything in one day. It's important to pick out what's your priority, what do you need to address right now, and take it step by step. Start asking the questions, and you'll start getting the type of responses you need. One thing that you can do is assign someone. Assign someone to be your insurance guru. For example, your husband. I assigned my husband the role of insurance bouncer. He felt helpless enough dealing with my situation. He didn't know what to do. He wanted something constructive. And while I also needed mental support, having him take over the insurance stuff for me was huge. It was a big worry that I just didn't need to worry about. So when the insurance started talking about not being able to cover certain medications and that sort of thing, I put my insurance bouncer on the line, and he just dealt with it. And that was, again, something I just didn't need to deal with while everything was going on. It was great to give him something to do. If you have family or friends that you can assign roles that are very practical, as I'm sure you've known while you're going through treatment, it really helps. One other tip is that when you're going to a doctor's office or you're talking to insurance or someone in HR, if you can, and this is a small thing, but on a holiday season or at just a special time, bring along a thing of home-baked cookies or a thing of chocolates. Or even just acknowledge for them, if you notice a very busy waiting room, saying something like, hey, it's a busy day in here, isn't it? It can go a long way in helping you deal with your frustration. It's amazing how much we like to hear these acknowledgments from time to time. And the people in the office, the doctor's office, are no different from us. So yes, we're dealing with cancer, and they're also dealing with their own pressures and stress. And as I said, someone gave me this tip, and I brought in a batch of cookies, and all of a sudden, I was getting into the doctor's office faster, and I was getting the information I needed around insurance and all that sort of stuff just a little bit faster. It again, eases your mind a little bit, and if you can steal some of those chocolates on the way in, even better. I'd like to talk about some of the opportunities that cancer can afford us with respect to work. And it's an odd way to put it with being opportunities. But I think, as most of us know, cancer changes us in many ways. And it certainly can change the way we think about things. And it takes a while for us to process how it's changed things, which is interesting as well. It's an evolutionary and continual process. In terms of opportunities, for example, cancer eventually helped me change my entire career. And I know it's helping other people to rethink their choices and focus on doing what they want to do versus just what they can do and have been trained for. It doesn't always have to be a radical change. It can just be about steps in a different direction with your desires and your needs leading the way, which is something that a lot of us haven't dealt with. A lot of us haven't, particularly women, we're mothers and we put a lot of people before us. And so the steps to start putting ourselves first is a gradual process and start step by step. One thing to remember is that when you are passionate about something and really believe in something and want something, you will be able to make it succeed. It's something that I had to learn by practice, but now that I have learned it, I know it to be true, and I'm witnessing it with other friends and survivors. When you're first going through treatment and afterwards, work can provide some benefits, even while you're adjusting it to suit your needs, and whether that means modifying your hours or working from home. For me, it was about feeling normal and pretending that life wasn't changing. That may not sound healthy to everyone, but it is what I had to do to get through it, so it was the right thing for me. You tend to hear a lot of people saying, well, do this, do this, do this when you're going through cancer. And there is no right or wrong way to deal with it. It's all about what's right for you. What's right for me in this moment? Is it right for me to stay home today? Then it's right for me. And that can take some time, again, since we're not used to putting ourselves first, learning how to do that. But practice makes perfect.